Howdy, 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 my name is Anachi Sasuke. Welcome back to Let's Read the SCP Foundation Wiki. Now, I was about to scroll down to see if I can remind myself where we left off at, because I'm honestly not sure, but I'm looking at SCP-1001, and I don't remember reading a thing called Yate Vio, like, at all. So, what's that about? Big bones, horns, a single plant apparently belonging to undescribed species of blah blah blah. Okay, I remember that now. I don't remember it being called that, but I remember that now. Okay, so let me scroll down. What do I remember last? I remember reading the carnivorous central nervous system, which means I have to have read at least to the anything golem. I know I've read 33-second man and decomposition mitten. I know I've read... Have I read the... I don't think I've read... I have read Nkandi. So, Rappel, J.K. Will, Gathering Doll, Daniel. So I think we're at multiple past disorder. But let's check it out and see if I'm wrong and stupid. Yeah, no, I've not read this. I don't know what Euclid Alterius is. Unless I have and I'm wrong. But this doesn't sound familiar at all to me. So, SCP-1041 is kept in a Type 2... humanoid containment cell at Site 17 and provided rations as per dietary outline AHF4. Certain identities of 1041 require special consideration. See document 5C for further information. Is that in here? I don't know. No. No, it isn't. Any documentation of 1041's life prior to its recovery must be confiscated, with all non-personnel who claim to have known 1041 given amnestic C-1041 in order to remove any and all memories of the subject. When appropriate, false documentation and or memories are to be fabricated and provided. Efforts to obtain further evidence of the narratives outlined in 5A are in progress. Description: SCP-1041 is a human female 56 years of age that displays no anomalous physical properties, recovered on July 3rd, 2012. The subject is in good physical health apart from the lack of a left thumb. I don't know why I said theft thumb. At time of writing, 119 narratives of their life, supported by reliable documentation and witness testimony, have been compiled. 35 further narratives most likely exist, but currently lack reliable documentation. This is considered the primary anomalous property of 1041. These narratives are often contradictory. For example, narrative 19 involves 1041 attending classes at Harvard University in 1977, while narrative 44 places 1041 in Vladimir Central Prison at the same time. All account for 1041's lack of a left thumb. 1041 will adopt an identity, set of memories, and personality consistent with one narrative per waking period. What's that say? Testing has shown that any period of unconsciousness or altered state of consciousness lasting at least 1 hour will cause 1041 to adopt a new identity, and will deny any knowledge or personal history inconsistent with this identity. Which says, the subject will demonstrate incorrect knowledge of events since its containment. In each case, it will recall its reactions to events as though it had possessed its current personality. 1041 goes through 153 personalities in sequence, each of which corresponds with one of the aforementioned narratives, before returning to the first identity. These identities are labeled 1, the identity presented on the date of the recovery, through 153. Evidence indicates that 1041 did not display this behavior prior to recovery. One or both of 1041's parents or caretakers have been located in 99 instances. All gave reports mostly consistent with 1041's memories of its childhood, including, when applicable, its birth on March 8, 1957 at approximately 9:33 GMT. Parental testing has located 98 women and 84 men that are genetic matches for 1041's parents. None of these individuals are genetically related to each other. The probability that each couple would produce an offspring identical to that of all the other couples by chance is infinitesimal. Addendum: the following identities are considered notable. To view the remainder, see document 5A. Okay, so 14 to 15, subjects were believed to be monozygotic twins. However, testing of recovered DNA samples has shown an absence of copy number variations that are normally found in monozygotic twins. Both have refused to believe that the other is another identity of 1041, although neither has been able to explain why. Both 14 and 15 lost their left thumb in unrelated incidents on August 18th, 94. Number 19. 19 lost both legs in a car crash in 1966. For the duration of 1041's adoption of this identity, it will not move either leg, despite being physically capable of doing so even under duress. Insufficient time has passed since 1041's recovery to determine whether therapy can reverse this condition. 67. Subject was a high-ranking member of the Blank Crime Syndicate from 1988 to 97. Investigations indicate that 67 redirected a significant portion of Blank's resources towards destroying apparently unrelated records held by various government agencies and academic institutions. 67 has experienced retrograde and anterograde amnesia after an apparent assassination attempt in 2011, hindering further investigation. 81 was employed by the Chaos Insurgency for 14 years. While the subject's exact responsibilities there are not known to the Foundation, the subject's educational background is most suitable for employment as a theoretical physicist. 127 claims to possess psychic powers, supposedly allowing the subject to communicate with her past selves. Testing has shown that the subject may possess a limited ability to access information possessed by other identities of 1041. Investigation indicates that 127 may have possessed this ability since adulthood. 154. Subject was determined to have died on January the 2nd, 1999 from lung cancer and is not among the identities displayed by 1041. Police records show that 154's body was stolen from its grave on July 15, 2012, and has not been located. That's creepy. Wait, what does this other version of Euclid mean, though? I've not seen that on anything. Euclid Alterius. Next up is the Ghost Stone. Woo! It's safe, though, so it can't be that spooky. 1042 is to be contained in a standard EM-shielded anomalous material storage locker. When testing, precautions with equipment should be taken as the object has been noted to affect electrical devices. Okay. 1042 is a standard brick used in foundation construction, typical of homes built in the Victorian era. Analysis has shown that 1042 has similar composition to those made in Blank during Blank, though closer inspection shows an unusual latticework structure on a molecular level. When introduced to low-level electromagnetic fields or struck with a ferrous object, three-dimensional visual and auditory projections of past events appear. These projections are frequently accompanied by the entity designated once, so pick up the brick, smack it with a rock, ghosts! History. The Historical Society of Blank had taken ownership of a local mansion, the site of a notorious murder, and was given guided ghost tours of the grounds. The original owner of the house, Mr. Blank Blank, the town's land baron, was accused of murdering a maidservant in 18-something, but acquitted of the charges. After the trial, Blank's wife removed herself and their children from the area, and he became a recluse before finally committing suicide in the house 3 years later. Since then, owners and staff reported seeing multiple apparitions in and around the manor of the original family and staff, images of themselves performing mundane tasks labeled by tour guides as doppelgangers, and sightings of the Black Monk, now believed to be one. Frequency of these sightings tended to increase during thunderstorms. In 19-something, an electrician wiring the house to the town's new electrical grid scraped a screwdriver across the exposed blocks of the cellar and was greeted with the image of the house's original owner murdering the maid in a reenactment of the 18-blank event. The apparition showed no acknowledgement of the electrician and faded after approximately 5 minutes. Procurement. Why is this entry written like this? Posing as safety inspectors, Foundation agents were able to procure 1042, using Foundation maintenance as a cover story. Ha ha! The brick was located using a standard electromagnetic field meter. Agents replaced it with a duplicate of equal proportions, as well as structurally bolstering the foundation of the building to avoid arousing suspicion. Oh, at least they knew how to actually do that. That'd be kind of silly to come from the Foundation to fix the Foundation and then not even do it. In experiments with 1042, it has been determined that sights and sounds of people or objects moving around the object are recorded for later playback. Like a talk boy, but with video. But it's a brick and it's apparitions. It does not appear to record inactivity, only motion. Playback of events varies in fidelity. Most images are transparent and have a blurred effect. Audio has noticeable interference described by observers as metallic scraping or stone grinding on stone. When a low-level current is applied to the block, the effects gain much in clarity. Recorded events can be projected by introducing an EM field or by striking or scraping the block with a steel or iron object. Specific events can be chosen for playback by altering the strength of the EM field, the force of the strike, or a combination of both. So smack it with electricity and it'll be real good. The following is a selection of the more notable tests with 1042. The full log is document L1. So let's check out this here experiment log. EM field blank W M2? Striking force none. Result: the upper half of a middle-aged woman, dressed as a kitchen servant, appeared with a jar of peach preserves. She placed the jar on an unseen shelf. The jar then hung in the air, apparently sitting on a shelf that corresponded to an actual shelf in the basement of the site, then turned and walked 3 paces before disappearing. At this point, researchers realized that 1042 was placed on a lab table approximately 45 centimeters below its original elevation. The block was placed on an elevated shelf adjusted to its approximate height in the basement, and the test was conducted again. This time, the full image of the woman was seen. Corroborating with local records, this woman was confirmed to be blank blank, who worked as a servant in the manor. This time they used a striking force of some amount of newtons. Researchers saw another experiment conducted in the same room 13 days before Dr. Lowenstein on SCP blank. The manifestation lasted 13 minutes and 15 seconds. Objects in the room which remained stationary at the time of the experiment did not appear, only those that changed position. Dr. Lowenstein later confirmed that he did perform those actions and in the exact procedure as recorded when shown the digital recording of this test. Striking force blank newtons. A reenactment of the maidservant's murder by the owner of the house. The image and sound were particularly clear. After the crime, Blank was seen lifting the body over his shoulder and walking towards the location of the basement stairs. The image of Blank proceeded to ascend towards the ceiling according to the location of the stairs in the basement, but their structure was not projected. Okay, striking force blank newtons. A man dressed as a mason from the era the house was built appeared, standing in front of the brick with a trowel setting it in place. Approximately 3 meters behind him, a dark humanoid figure wearing a hooded black robe with a concealed face stood motionless. While the worker appeared in relatively good clarity, the dark figure was noticeably lesser fidelity. It made no motion, but appeared to be staring in the direction of the mason. When viewing a digital recording of the test, the black figure dubbed 1 was not seen. Okay. 3 men dressed as groundskeepers appeared and proceeded across the room. Clothing and hairstyles seemed consistent with the mid-20th century. 2 instances of 1 also appeared. 1 directly adjacent to their path, 1 behind Dr. Thompson. The 2 younger men engaged in a brief discussion of the various ghost sightings and legends surrounding the house. The 3rd, older man, reprimanded them for believing in such things and admonished them to get to work. Back to work. The 3 picked up gardening tools. The tools appeared in the projection the moment the workers made contact, and vanished. It should be noted that the location of the entity behind Dr. Thompson corresponds to solid earth behind the wall originally contained 1042. Striking force some newtons. As Dr. Thompson was preparing for this test, Dr. Blank entered the room and conversed with Thompson for approximately 2 minutes. During this time, the sleeve of her lab coat contacted an Erlenmeyer flask, sending it into a work sink where it broke along with several test tubes awaiting cleaning after one of Dr. Lowenstein's previously mentioned experiments with SCP blank. After determining the correct parameters to play back this event and summoning his colleagues for viewing of her actions, the image manifested as normal. However, moments before the flask was broken, 1 appeared behind Dr. Blank and moved the flask 4 centimeters towards her arm. When the digital recording of the playback was viewed, the figure did not appear, nor was the flask seen to move. That's weird. Okay, this new result. One of the groundskeepers from the previous experiment appeared. As he crossed the area of 1042's effect, 1 appeared, knelt down, and pushed a wooden apple crate 6 centimeters towards the man. The groundskeeper's left knee collided with the crate and he proceeded to fall forward onto a garden rake, the times impaling his face and his right eye and left cheek. 1 stood upright and observed the man writhing on the ground. The scene stopped at this point. Examining local records indicate that the groundskeeper was blank blank. After this incident, confirmed to have occurred in 19-something, newspapers and court documents account that he became an alcoholic and was involved in a series of petty crimes. Blank was killed in an automobile collision after leaving a drinking establishment 2 years later. The driver of the other vehicle sustained minor injuries. The 2 passengers died on impact. Note, the survivor of that accident was blank blank, who later became a prominent public advocate of drunk driving legislation and founder of blankety blank blank blank. In interviews, Blank cited this incident and the loss of his wife and child as his primary motivation. Okay. Blank newtons. A test scenario was created by Dr. Thompson and several other researchers moving through the room, displacing a series of objects onto the floor and performing various tasks such as throwing a softball or juggling for approximately 15 minutes. An electric current was applied to 1042 during the recording phase. When the brick was activated for playback, 2 SCP-1042 entities appeared in the corners of the room. Dr. Thompson examined the projection of 1 closely, attempting to discern its features for study. After 3 minutes of observation, the figure turned towards Thompson, and a voice was heard saying, please stop staring. It makes us frightfully uncomfortable. Startled, Thompson jumped away from the apparition, nearly falling backwards. The figure then turned its attention back towards the recorded events. As before, upon viewing footage of the test, one did not appear nor was it heard. Dr. Thompson similarly appeared to be interacting with empty space. Show some notes. SCP-1042-1 appears as a tall humanoid figure, standing at a height of approximately 2.5 meters. Image fidelity of projections varies, but they have never been observed at the full clarity and opacity of other projections. They appear to be clothed in black hooded robes. Facial features also appear to be obscured by a mask of the same sort of material. The hands are humanoid with 5 digits, also covered in layers of black material. The exact nature of this clothing cannot be determined. These entities are seen in approximately 15% of the projections. 80% of these appearances consist of the figure standing motionless facing the subject's actions. In 20% of the appearances, the entities interacted with subjects indirectly, relocating objects in the general vicinity to a slightly altered position, always in a fashion that would ensure the subjects make contact with these objects. The purpose of these actions is unknown. The only occurrence of one vocalizing is the above experiment log. We are unable to determine whether the entity was interacting with researchers in real time, or had predetermined our actions and performed the appropriate response during the recording phase. Given the nature of one, it is possible that it may not perceive time in a strictly linear fashion. Further testing of this hypothesis is recommended. So, it's not spooky? It seems like maybe the apparition is just like the mess with people? It does seem like they like to mess with people, at least some of them. Instant structures. I'm imagining like Capsule Corp, where you just throw down the capsule and a motorcycle appears, but it's probably nothing so whimsical. Plus it's Euclid, so... SCP-1043 is to be held within a containment room in Storage Unit 9 at Site-33. The air humidity within the containment unit should not exceed 5% to prevent devaluation of Site SCP-1043, as well as a potential containment breach. Experimentation requires approval of Level 3 personnel due to limited amount available. It used to say uncontained instances of 1 are to be left to proceed to completion. A mobile perimeter is to be established around them to prevent public exposure. Resulting 2 is to be demolished and rubble along with the foundation of solidified 1 removed and stored at nearest low hazard anomalous materials bulk storage facility. Now it says a mobile perimeter is to be established around uncontained instances of 1 for the purposes of monitoring. If the emerging 2 does not resemble any of the forms described in Addendum 1, the area extending to a radius of at least 200 meters from the edge of 1 in question is to be evacuated and Procedure 28 Suture applied. Otherwise, the resulting 2 is to be demolished and rubble along with the foundation of solidified 1 removed and stored at nearest low hazard anomalous materials bulk storage facility. Description: 1043 refers to approximately 31, actually 134 sacks labeled Molicilus Mach 3 and numbers 1 to 5 in large red lettering. I to V, same thing, Roman numerals. On the lower right corner of each sack is a green stamp detailing a winged arm holding a hammer, and the designation Apollodorus Construction Combine. The sacks contain a gray-green powdery substance which, if mixed with water and applied onto soil, recombines with it to form 1. SCP-1043-1 is a self-propagating soil anomaly, appearing similar to a pool of concrete. 1 at this stage has been shown to have a remarkable surface tension, able to support pressure of up to 40 whatever that is. What does that mean? Google, what does it mean? Kilopascal. Okay. I wasn't aware that a Pascal was a unit of weight, but I also don't know stuff like that. I'm not a scientist. If removed from the main pool, samples of 1 cease activity and coalesce, producing an isotropic gray solid of stiffness similar to concrete, but a far higher yield strength. Vickers hardness 50 HD 30, but otherwise lacking anomalous properties. Laboratory analysis has revealed the composition to be that of surrounding substrate with 1043 acting as a resin matrix. Initially, an instance of 1 propagates at a rate of approximately blank meters squared per hour, assimilating surrounding soil until reaching a depth of, I think that's circa 1.5 meters and a final area of 8 times the area covered by the resulting 2. After approximately blank hours, a number of ambulatory growths bearing outwards resemblance to human arms begin to form within 1. Once fully formed, the growths proceed to use 1 as as well as occasionally salvage raw materials from within the perimeter affected by 1 to construct a structure or object labeled 2. See Addendum 1 for a list of 2 types known. Well, there's the Addendum. After the construction is complete, leftover 1 retreats towards the center and hardens, providing a foundation for the structure. Experimenting with decreasing the quantity of 1043 used has shown the process to successfully complete. However, the base layer is proportionally thinner and beyond a point characterized by the thickness of the transformed soil layer not exceeding blank centimeters. The process fails to complete. Addendum. List of 2 types. Designation 2-1. A smooth-walled rectangular building of base circa, 30 by 20 meters and height of 10 meters. I really don't know what the CCA means. The interior divides into 2 floors, each containing 41 identical rooms, and one of about twice the size. The smaller room's walls and floor contain a number of protrusions bearing outwards resemblance to shelves, bedding, and a table. The larger room's floor contains several holes about 25 centimeters in diameter which terminate below the structure's base. I swear if CCA is just them saying approximately without saying approximately, like saying centigrade instead of Celsius. The microstructure of most surfaces have been found to physically interfere with germ growth. Designation 2-2. A semicircular dome approximately 16 meters in radius, with decorative elements resembling the architecture of Mussolini-era Italy. There are 4 entrances located 90 degrees apart. The interior contains a raised podium and approximately 500 irregularly arranged seating places connected by stairs. The internal walls and roof curve considerably and contain a large number of structural features. Analysis has shown the structure to possess excellent auditory properties, so it's an auditorium. Incident 1. On blank 2000-something, members of MTF Chi 4 Brick Breakers were dispatched to a supposed instance of 836 infestation in blank Canada. However, on-site assessment has shown this to be an uncharacteristic instance of 1043, spreading rapidly in an approximately 10 centimeter deep layer and repurposing material within its perimeter to repeatedly construct what appeared to be several sections of a statue and fuse them in a seemingly random arrangement, forming a mound approximately blank meters in diameter. The statue is identified. Segments include a humanoid arm approximately 15 meters long, with its fingers embedded into a spheroid, a square slab, and data expunged cross-section. Procedure 28 Surter, used upon operative approval by Dr. G, shown successful in halting 1 activity. Incident 2. On blank 2000-something, a raid on the blank, a coffee shop suspected to serve as a cover for Are We Cool Yet activity, related to the spreading of SCP blank as a part of the recent We Are the 99 Bottles campaign. Among the items procured was a moleskine notebook containing sketches resembling 1, and detailed drawings of structures resembling 1018, SCP blank, as well as objects of seemingly impossible geometry. The drawings are dimensioned and surrounded by stenographic markings, a number of yet undeciphered symbols, as well as arbitrary content such as stylized sketches of common objects, and a drawing of a nude female identified as AP, a freelance writer frequenting the same establishment. The notebook contains a number of fingerprint marks, which have been determined to consist of 1043 powder. Page 23 of the notebook shows a crossed-out drawing with features similar to the structure encountered by Chi 4 during Incident 1. It is followed by a number of calculations ending with A equals 43.2 unknown symbol, asterisk 2I. Fuck yeah! Underlined twice. Scanned copies of the notebook's contents are available to personnel with 2-1043 clearance. Okie dokie. Next up is the Contradictory of Echo. It's safe. SCP-1044 is to be surrounded at all possible access points by signs in English and French, warning of falling rocks, avalanches, landmines, and dangerous animals. Okay. The area should be kept under periodic aerial surveillance, and at least 1 member of personnel will be available on short notice to further discourage any non-personnel who choose to ignore the warnings. Description: SCP-1044 is located in a small uninhabited valley in the Alpine at blank degrees north, blank degrees east, measuring at approximately 1.2 kilometers across and 0.6 kilometers wide at its broadest point. The properties of 1044 were first encountered in 1968, after rumors of unusual sounding echoes began to spread through the local area. These reports range from the valley producing echoes that talked back to data expunged. While the reported phenomena were widely dismissed as urban legend by local authorities, researchers were dispatched on blank 3/6/2000 something. I don't know if whoever wrote this is in this country or not, and that's March the 6th, or if it's June the 3rd like the rest of the world would think it is. The following are partial transcripts of the 3 investigations carried out over the course of the following 2 years. Experiment 1. How should we begin? Perhaps hello? Hello! I didn't get that. Try louder. Hello! Researcher A's voice in a manner resembling an echo. Goodbye! Did you hear that? That was good. I got it. Let me try something else. Is anybody down there? In the same manner as previous. Is anybody up there? Yes! No! Hold on, try that again as loud as possible. Yes! No! Identical to researcher F's shout. Yes! If the first echo was contradicting you, is the second echo contradicting the first echo? Or the second echo was just my own echo coming through late? Let's continue. Experiment 2. Note, henceforth it can be assumed that the responses of 1044 are heard in the form of an echo, and the same voice as the person who made the initial statement. Dog! Dog. I suppose there's no opposite statement to dog? Cat? Not a true opposite. The phenomenon appears to follow consistent logic. Observe. I am a man! I am not a man. And so, rather than echoing I am a woman, it attempts to relay the logical opposite. It is not yet clear that it has awareness required to attempt anything. What about the hello from the previous experiment? The echo said goodbye. It would make sense, possibly, that a statement of parting ways is logically opposite to a statement of greeting. Maybe. Or is it not as logically infallible as we think? Suggesting what, precisely? Experiment 3, data expunged. Analysis of the audio transcripts of the experiments all conclude that 1044 is an echo localized to a single valley that directly contradicts the speaker wherever logical contradiction of a statement or question is possible. Where multiple echoes are heard, each subsequent echo will contradict the previous. In the later experiments, attempts were made to test 1044 by calling out self-contradictory statements such as this sentence is false. This invariably resulted in data expunged. Future experiments are to avoid such attempts. And I see down here that it says paradox, so I guess if you were to shout a paradox into a valley that was like, me, yes! Valley, no! Me, this sentence is false! Valley, something terrible probably. Either something terrible, or the weird echoing mountain found a way to answer the paradox. But it does say this invariably resulted in data expunged. So it could be something along the lines of what happens with robots, where you use paradoxes on robots and then they short circuit and explode. So maybe them using a paradox on a mountain that is designed to say the opposite of whatever you said resulted in a rock slide that possibly killed people. I don't know. Maybe it spit out angry cheetahs. And now it's time for a candle of life. And it's also safe. Nice comfy episode, this one. I think I'll probably title it a nice comfy episode. Even though saying comfy too many times makes it sound like it's spelled different than it is. Anyway, 1045 is stored in low security lockers. Okay, I read low security and my brain processed that as a security locker that's on the floor. Locker 17 at Site 21. No flammable materials or sources of open flame are to be brought within 5 meters of 1045 except for testing. It is a square wood-framed candle lantern measuring 15 by 15 by 32 centimeters. Its sides are made of translucent waxed paper, and its interior framework provides a nested support for a circular glass cup, measuring 6.5 centimeters in diameter and 10 centimeters in height. The anomalous properties do not manifest unless both components are used together. When a candle is placed within 1045 and lit fam, the walls of 1045 depict the shadow of a miniature humanoid as if lit from behind the candle. The shadow on each side of the lantern depicts a different angle of the same subject. The shadow of the humanoid is always writhing as if in pain, and is surrounded by what appear to be semi-opaque flames. The shadow of the figure will persist as long as the candle is burning. Its motions become more frantic as the candle becomes closer to burning out. All candle residue recovered from 1045 consists of rendered human fat, regardless of the original makeup of the candle. Damaged DNA samples have been recovered, but the identity of the source individual or individuals has yet to be determined. Addendum. Testing has revealed that burning scented candles produces shadows of different figures. In addition, burning a scented candle allows the shadows to emit sound. The volume of the sound is dependent on the strength of the scent. To date, all shadows have only produced incoherent screams. I wouldn't really have expected any different. If I was burning a candle inside this thing and it showed me a person writhing around on fire for as long as it takes for the candle to burn out, I would not expect anything other than the incoherent screaming of someone being on fire for as long as it takes a candle to burn out. I honestly don't know what they thought they were going to get. But that about does it for this episode. In the next one, if this was indeed the right one, we're going to be reading A House Without a Bedroom, Vengefully Ironic Street Signs, Builder Bear, The Bone Taker Owl, and Obsidian Obelisk of Warning. That episode sounds like it's going to be fun, probably terrifying, and I will be shocked if none of that is Keter. That being said, this has been Anachi Sasuke. This was episode 200 and something of Let's Read the SCP Foundation Wiki. If you liked it, a like and a subscribe will be groovy. If you'd like to ring the bell, you could do that as well. And I will see y'all in the next one. Later.